At breakfast, my son humiliated me. "Dad, you're a burden. Get out!" He watched me walk away with only a grocery bag. He thought I was finished, but what he didn't know was that I'd built a life far beyond his reach, and when he finally learned the truth, his world would fall apart. Before we go any further, take a second to subscribe, hit the hype button, and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? The morning light filtered through the kitchen windows as I sat at the breakfast table. My back ached from decades of hard work, but I said nothing. Tom paced like a caged animal, his face red with anger. "You don't get it, do you?" Tom's voice rose. "I'm 32 and still dealing with your problems. You built everything on luck, not skill. Now you're just taking up space." I stayed silent. 58 years had taught me that silence could be more powerful than words. "Say something!" Tom slammed his hand on the table. Dishes rattled. Aster, my wife, flinched, but kept her eyes on her coffee cup. "What would you like me to say?" I asked calmly. "That you'll leave. That you'll stop being a weight around our necks. We have plans that don't include supporting someone who can barely walk without wincing." The pain in my back flared, as if responding to his words. I'd built skyscrapers and shopping centers with these hands. Now my own son saw me as nothing but an obstacle. "Fine," I said quietly. "I'll leave." Tom stopped pacing. "What?" I said fine. Aster's head snapped up, something flickering in her eyes. But then she looked away, and I knew she'd made her choice long ago. I stood slowly, walked to the hallway closet, and pulled out a grocery bag. I placed a few items inside: clothes, wallet, phone. Nothing more. Tom watched from the doorway, arms crossed. "That's it? No dramatic speech?" What would be the point? "You're pathetic. All those years playing the big man, and this is how you go out, with a grocery bag." I walked past him toward the front door. My hand touched the brass handle I'd personally selected 15 years ago. "Don't come back," Tom called. "We're changing the locks tonight." I opened the door and stepped into the morning air. Behind me, the door closed with finality. No one came after me. No one called my name. 3 blocks away, where I'd parked my car the night before, I finally allowed myself a small smile. Tom thought he'd won. He had no idea the real game was just beginning. I climbed into my car and drove toward the suburban house Tom didn't know existed, the beautiful home I'd built in secret 5 years ago. As the house came into view, nestled among oak trees with large windows catching the morning sun, I felt something unexpected: relief. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to Rachel Lee, my lawyer for 20 years. "Merli," her voice was warm. "I was wondering when you'd call." "It's time," I said simply. "He finally pushed you out?" "This morning. Called me a burden. Told me to leave with nothing." "And the bag trick?" "Perfect. He thinks I walked away broken." "Good. That means he won't see what's coming." Papers rustled. "I have everything ready. The documents, the evidence, all of it." "How bad is it?" "Worse than you thought. Tom's been taking money from your accounts for 2 years. He's also forged your signature on loan applications." My jaw tightened. "Aster?" "She knows. There are emails between them discussing how to manage your assets. They've been planning this." I closed my eyes. What's next? Let them feel secure. Meanwhile, I'll start freezing assets and preparing legal documentation. By Christmas, they'll understand exactly what they've lost. The injunction hit Tom on Monday morning. Every account with my name was frozen solid. Rachel called at 7 with the news. "It's done. He tried to make a large withdrawal this morning. The bank turned him away." "Has he called you?" 3 times. I haven't answered. Over the next days, I established my new routine in the house Tom didn't know existed. Morning coffee on the porch. Afternoons reviewing the financial documents Rachel sent. My back pain lessened without the constant stress. Tom's messages came frequently, each more aggressive. Don't even think about coming back. Aster and I are celebrating. First peaceful meal in years. You were always weak. Good riddance. I saved every message. Evidence. On Wednesday, Aster called. Merli, Tom says you've frozen everything. He says you're trying to destroy us. Did you know what he was doing, Aster? Long silence. He said he was protecting our future. By stealing from me? It's not stealing if it's family money. It's stealing when you forge signatures and lie to banks. How long have you known? Merli, you have to understand. Tom was struggling. So you decided I should pay without asking me. You wouldn't have helped. I helped him 6 times, Aster. 6 businesses where I lost money and never complained. When was it supposed to stop? She started crying. Please don't do this. We're family. Family doesn't humiliate each other and throw them out like trash. I ended the call. Friday brought the family meeting at Rachel's office. Tom and Aster sat across the conference table with a young lawyer who looked uncomfortable. When I entered, Tom stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. You've got some nerve, freezing us out like criminals. Sit down, Tom, Rachel said coolly. This is a legal proceeding. Rachel laid out documents showing forged signatures, unauthorized transfers, fraudulent loan applications, all bearing my name, all done without my permission. Tom, would you like to explain these signatures? Rachel asked. His face went pale. You wouldn't press charges. I met his eyes. Try me. Aster grabbed Tom's arm. Just tell them, please. Tell them what? That I took money that should have been mine anyway? That I used connections through Dad's name? That I tried to secure my future because he was too selfish to help? You mean you stole? Rachel said flatly. You forged documents. You committed fraud. It's not fraud if it's family money. Rachel pulled out another folder. These are statements from 3 banks confirming fraudulent activity. Testimony from a loan officer who remembers you claiming power of attorney. This is a paper trail any prosecutor would love. She slid documents across the table. We're offering you a way out that doesn't involve prison. 48 hours to decide. After that, we file criminal charges. Tom and Aster left without looking at me. I watched them disappear into the rain. Rachel showed me photos the next day. Tom meeting with older men in expensive suits outside a downtown building. Investors, Rachel explained. Tom convinced them to invest in a development project using your name. This is Marcus Chen. He put in $2 million based on Tom's promises that you were backing it. My stomach tightened. I never agreed to any project. I know. And when Marcus learns Tom was lying, he'll want his money back. Money Tom doesn't have because he's already spent it. Rachel showed me bank statements and receipts. High-end restaurants, luxury car lease, vacation rental in Aspen. About $400,000 of your money is gone. But including investor funds raised using your name, over $3 million in obligations. Can they come after me? They'll try, but we have documentation proving you never authorized this. The liability falls on Tom. Sunday evening, Aster called again. He's going to sign the documents, but you need to know something. He's planning something. I don't know what, but he's been making calls, arranging meetings. Why are you telling me this? Long pause. Because I'm scared. I thought I knew him, but now I see someone I don't recognize. Merli, whatever he's planning, be careful. Monday morning brought Rachel's urgent call. Tom's filed a countersuit claiming elder abuse. He's arguing you're mentally incompetent, that I've manipulated you, and that freezing accounts represents exploitation. Can he do that? Anyone can file anything. He's demanding psychiatric evaluation to prove you're not of sound mind. I'm 58 with a bad back, not senile. I know, but we need to take this seriously. I'm filing fraud charges today. By tonight, Tom will have bigger problems. Rachel's doctors evaluated me thoroughly. I aced every test. By evening, Rachel called. The district attorney accepted our evidence. Tom will be arrested tomorrow morning. Tuesday morning, I sat on my porch waiting. Rachel called at 8:30. It's done. He was arrested an hour ago. Tom's bond was set at $500,000, an amount he couldn't raise with frozen accounts. Aster called repeatedly, begging me to help. I didn't answer. Friday brought Marcus Chen to a quiet restaurant. The investor was trim, 60s, with sharp eyes. Your son is very convincing, Marcus said. He had documents, presentations, references, a mixed-use development on the waterfront. He showed me architectural renderings with your company logo. But it wasn't real. No, the contractors don't exist. The architectural firm never heard of it. The waterfront property isn't even for sale. Marcus pulled out his phone, showing me a text from Tom. Don't worry about the old man. He's losing it mentally. By Christmas, I'll have full control. Your investment is safe. I felt cold reading it, the calculation, the certainty that I could be erased. He was planning to have you declared incompetent all along, Marcus said. The countersuit wasn't desperation. It was always his plan. I'm going to testify against him. 3 weeks after Tom's arrest, Aster appeared at my door. She looked exhausted, hair unwashed, dark circles under her eyes. How did you find me? Private investigator, 2 days. She looked past me. Can I come in? I stepped aside. She walked into my living room, taking in the comfortable space. You built this 5 years ago and never told me. Would you have kept it secret from Tom? She flinched. Probably not. We stood in awkward silence until Aster sat heavily on the couch. He's going to prison, isn't he? That depends on him. If he cooperates, shows genuine remorse, maybe he gets probation. If he fights it, yes, prison. He won't cooperate. He's convinced he did nothing wrong. Her voice cracked. I created this. I encouraged him. I told him you were weak. And now I've destroyed our family. Why did you do it? Fear. Fear of getting older without security. Fear of watching Tom fail while you seemed comfortable. It felt unfair. I offered to help Tom. I know. But your help always felt like judgment. She looked around. This place is beautiful. Everything I wanted. And you built it without me. I built it because I needed something that was mine, something that couldn't be taken or resented. I came to ask you to drop the charges, but sitting here, understanding what we took from you, I don't have that right anymore. After she left, I stood on the porch thinking about how small decisions had accumulated like sediment, eventually burying the good foundation beneath. The preliminary hearing came on a gray Monday. The prosecutor laid out evidence methodically: bank statements, forged documents, witness testimony. Tom's lawyer tried to object, but the facts were overwhelming. Marcus Chen's testimony was particularly damaging. He described Tom's manipulation in detail, showing texts and emails. Finally, Tom spoke. Your Honor, I'm not a criminal. I'm a son trying to protect my family's legacy from a father losing his grip on reality. The judge raised an eyebrow. Losing his grip how? His memory was failing. He was making bad decisions. So you took it upon yourself to forge his signature and steal his money? I wasn't stealing, I was protecting. Tom's face reddened. My father taught me that sometimes you bend rules to succeed. I was following his example. The judge's expression hardened. That's a serious accusation. Do you have evidence your father engaged in fraud? Tom hesitated. I just know how business works. So no evidence. You're making assumptions based on your own actions. She shuffled papers. Based on the evidence presented, I find sufficient cause to proceed to trial. Mr. Solmer will remain in custody. Bond remains at $500,000. Tom exploded. This is ridiculous. You're letting him destroy me. Mr. Solmer, control yourself. He abandoned us, left us with nothing. The evidence shows you systematically defrauded your father and multiple victims over an extended period. You'll have your chance to defend yourself at trial. Until then, you remain in custody. We're adjourned." Guards had to physically restrain Tom as he shouted accusations. I watched, feeling oddly detached, as they led my son away. The months before trial passed slowly. Christmas came without celebration. Rachel kept me updated. The prosecution was building an airtight case. Tom had defrauded at least 12 people. The total was over $5 million. "Some of these people lost their life savings," Rachel told me. "In January, I started attending a support group for families of criminals. At first, I resisted. But the group helped. 8 or 9 people dealing with similar situations, all facing impossible choices between protecting loved ones and demanding accountability. In February, Tom's lawyer requested a meeting about a plea deal. 2 years with parole after 18 months, the lawyer said, plus restitution payments. "What about the other victims?" I asked. The prosecutor consulted them. Most are open to it. "And Tom? Does he accept responsibility?" The lawyer hesitated. "He's willing to plead guilty." "That's not what I asked. Does he understand what he did wrong? Does he feel remorse?" "Mr. Solmer, I can't speak to his emotional state. Then there's no deal. If Tom wants leniency, he needs to earn it. That means genuine acceptance of responsibility, not just strategy." The trial began April 15th. The courtroom felt formal and final. Tom looked worse, thinner, paler, defeated, but his eyes still held resentment when they found mine. The prosecutor's opening was confident. "This is a simple case wrapped in complex emotions. The defendant systematically defrauded his father and multiple victims over 3 years. The evidence is clear and damning." Tom's lawyer offered his defense. "My client isn't a criminal. He's a desperate son who made mistakes trying to save his family. His father was deteriorating mentally. His methods weren't perfect, but his intentions were pure." Witnesses painted a picture of sophisticated fraud. Bank managers, business owners, investors, all describing Tom's charm and deception. Marcus Chen testified again about the waterfront development scheme, showing messages where Tom explicitly promised my backing. Then Aster took the stand. She looked fragile, voice barely above a whisper. "I knew what he was doing was wrong," she testified. "I knew he was taking money without permission, forging signatures, lying to investors. I didn't stop him. I told myself we were protecting our future, but really, we were stealing from someone we claimed to love." Did the defendant ever express remorse? No. He always justified everything. Said his father owed him. Said he was entitled because it would be his inheritance anyway. Tom's defense included a psychologist discussing stress and impaired judgment, but the prosecutor's cross-examination was brutal. "Doctor, is sustained, calculated fraud consistent with severely impaired judgment?" "Generally, no." Finally, Tom testified. His lawyer tried to paint him as concerned and loving, but the prosecutor destroyed him. "This document shows unauthorized transfer of $50,000. Did your father authorize it?" "He would have if I'd asked." "Did he authorize it? Yes or no?" "No, but—" Document after document. All unauthorized, all using your father's identity without permission. That's not concern. That's theft. Tom's composure cracked. "He owed me. I spent my life in his shadow. He had millions and wouldn't help. It was supposed to be mine." "So this was about inheritance? About getting what you felt you deserved?" "It was about survival." The prosecutor sat down quietly. Tom had exposed himself completely. The jury deliberated 6 hours. When they returned, their faces were somber. Guilty. 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 37 guilty verdicts total. Tom sat frozen, finally understanding there was no way out. The weeks after conviction passed in strange limbo. Tom was in jail awaiting sentencing. I tried returning to normal life, meeting with financial advisors, speaking with Tom's victims. Aster filed for divorce and moved to a new apartment. We spoke briefly once. I testified at sentencing that I take responsibility for enabling Tom, she said. That was brave. It was necessary. I'm not lying anymore. For what it's worth, I understand why you pressed charges. The sentencing hearing came on a cloudy May morning. 3 of Tom's victims spoke first. Each story revealed another layer of damage. Retirement savings gone, businesses lost, dreams destroyed. Then the judge asked if I wanted to speak. I stood. Your Honor, Tom is my son. I love him. But he made choices that hurt people. Those choices have consequences. I hope he uses this time to understand what he did and become better. But I also hope this sentence sends a message that family relationships don't excuse fraud. Tom stood when asked if he wanted to speak. I'm sorry, he said quietly. To everyone I hurt, to my mother, and to my father, who I blamed for my own failures. You were right. I made these choices. I was angry and entitled and justified terrible things. It was the first genuine remorse I'd heard. The judge nodded. The court appreciates your acceptance of responsibility. However, the severity of your crimes requires significant consequences. She consulted her notes. On the fraud charges, I sentence you to 7 years in federal prison. On forgery, 5 years concurrent. On identity theft, 3 years concurrent. You'll also pay restitution to all victims. Tom's shoulders sagged. 7 years. Before guards led him away, he looked at me. Dad, I really am sorry. I nodded. It was all I could give. Weeks after sentencing brought strange calm. The legal battle was over. Tom was in prison beginning his sentence. I threw myself into rebuilding, not finances, but purpose. I started consulting again, helping young entrepreneurs. The work was satisfying. These people respected my experience, implemented my advice. It reminded me why I'd loved business. In June, Rachel called about the restitution hearing. Tom will participate via video from prison. He'll owe around $3.7 million, not including what he took from you. I don't care about the money anymore. The courts do. Tom appeared on screen looking smaller, diminished. He agreed to restitution without argument. Afterward, I stood outside breathing summer air. It was finally over. What now? Rachel asked. Live, I suppose. Figure out what comes next. I used proceeds from selling Tom and Aster's house to fund a scholarship program for young entrepreneurs from disadvantaged backgrounds. Rachel helped set it up. Not the Tom Solmer Scholarship, I said. The Merli Solmer Opportunity Fund. This is about helping people who work hard and need support. The first scholarships were awarded in December. 5 young people with big dreams and limited resources. Watching them receive awards, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Purpose. Tom called Christmas Eve from prison. Dad, the counselor said family calls are important on holidays. How are you? Better, harder, complicated. He paused. I heard about the scholarship fund. That's incredible. I needed to do something positive. That's more forgiving than I deserve. Tom, at some point, stop punishing yourself and start building something better. You have 6 years left. You can waste them in self-hatred or use them to become better. Will you help me when I get out? Yes, but on one condition. You help others too. You pass forward what you learn. That's how we break these cycles. I promise. Spring returned with new life. The Scholarship Foundation grew. Tom called every Sunday. Our conversations evolved from cautious to warmer. He told me about GED classes, about counseling, about helping other inmates. There's this guy, Carlos, Tom said during one call. He's learning accounting legally now. He said I was lucky that someone cared enough to hold me accountable. His family cut him off completely. You do have a chance, Tom. What you do with it is up to you. In April, Rachel called with tragic news. One of Tom's victims, Mr. Henderson from the elderly couple, had passed away. His family said the stress of losing savings contributed to his decline. I called Tom immediately. The Hendersons. Mr. Henderson just passed away. His family says the stress contributed. Tom's voice broke. I didn't mean... I know. But this is the reality. Real consequences. Remember him. Use that memory to fuel your determination to be better. Tom was crying. I will. I promise. Days later, I received a letter from Mrs. Henderson. Mr. Solmer, my husband's passing was not your son's fault. Harold had been sick for years. But I wanted you to know that Harold forgave him. Before he passed, Harold said, Everyone makes mistakes. I hope that young man learns from his. Please tell Thomas that Harold believed in second chances. I read the letter to Tom during our next call. He was silent for a long time. I don't deserve that forgiveness. No one deserves grace, Tom. That's what makes it grace. But you can honor it by becoming someone worthy of Mr. Henderson's faith. Summer brought growth. The Scholarship Foundation thrived. We'd awarded 10 scholarships, and several recipients had already launched successful businesses. One recipient, Maria, came to thank me. She'd used her scholarship to start a mobile app connecting freelance workers with small businesses. Mr. Solmer, you gave me time, she said. Time to focus and build. I wouldn't have made it without you. After she left, I felt pure joy. This was the legacy I wanted, people I'd helped reach their potential. Tom called in June with exciting news. I've been accepted into a prison entrepreneurship program. Only 30 inmates get in each year. That's wonderful. I'm thinking about starting a consulting business when I get out, helping people avoid the mistakes I made, showing them how to build businesses ethically. That's perfect. Who better to warn about fraud temptations than someone who fell into them? You really think I could do it? I think you could do anything you commit to, Tom. You just need to commit to the right things this time. I did an interview with a business ethics journal that summer. The writer asked, What made you press charges against your own son? Because not pressing charges would have sent the wrong message. It would have said family bonds excuse criminal behavior. They don't. Do you regret it? I regret that it was necessary, but no, I don't regret demanding accountability. Tom needed consequences to have any chance of becoming better. The article generated significant response. People reached out sharing their own stories. A support group formed using my case as an example of choosing justice over denial. Rachel and I had dinner in late July. You know what I admire most? She said. You stayed principled without becoming bitter. I had bitter moments. But you didn't let them define you. You created a scholarship fund and rebuilt your relationship. That takes remarkable character. In August, Tom had a parole hearing, a formality since he'd only served 18 months. I attended via video. What have you learned during incarceration? A board member asked Tom. I've learned that entitlement is poison, Tom answered clearly. I spent years believing I deserved success without earning it. I've learned real success comes from honest work, from adding value rather than taking it. I've learned that hurting others always hurts yourself. The board denied parole as expected but noted his progress positively. In September, the Scholarship Foundation received a significant anonymous donation, enough to triple our scholarships. Rachel traced it to Marcus Chen. I called him. Marcus, your donation is incredibly generous. Your son cost me $2 million. I've recovered some through restitution. This is me taking the rest and doing something positive rather than nursing resentment. That's remarkable. You inspired it, Merli. You created something that helps people. I figured I could do the same. Tom's calls continued highlighting his growth. He was teaching financial literacy to other inmates, helping them understand basic money management. You should see these guys, Dad, he said. They've never had bank accounts. I'm teaching them things that could change their lives. How does it feel? Purposeful. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm actually helping people instead of using them. Winter arrived early with cold winds and snow. My house remained warm and comfortable, a sanctuary. Tom's progress accelerated. He'd progressed to teaching multiple classes, helping inmates prepare for release. "There's this one guy, Jerome," Tom told me, "getting out in 3 months. I've been working with him on a budget for his first year. He's terrified, but I think he'll make it." You're giving him tools. That's valuable. The scholarship recipients continued thriving. Maria's app reached 5,000 users. Another recipient, James, opened sustainable clothing manufacturing, employing 30 people. Each success felt personal. In November, I spoke at a business ethics conference about family, fraud, and accountability. The hardest part wasn't pressing charges, I told the audience. It was accepting that sometimes love means letting people face consequences. Protection without accountability isn't love, it's enablement. During Q&A, someone asked, "Do you think your son has really changed?" "I won't know for certain until he's released and faces real choices again. But I see genuine remorse in our conversations. Someone grappling with what he did, not just the punishment. That gives me hope." The response was powerful. Several attendees shared their own stories afterward. One man in tears thanked me for giving him permission to turn in his brother who'd been stealing from elderly parents. December brought the second year of scholarship awards, 20 scholarships now, supporting everything from technology to community service. Maria spoke at the ceremony. "A year and a half ago, I was exhausted and broke. Mr. Solmer's scholarship gave me more than money. It gave me validation. It said, 'Your dream is worth investing in.' That changed everything." Tom called Christmas morning. "Merry Christmas, Dad." "Merry Christmas, son. How are you?" "Good, actually. Some guys are struggling with being away from family, but I organized a talent show to help them stay positive." That was kind. "I learned from watching you. You always said leadership is about making things better for people around you." "Dad, there's something I need to tell you. I've been writing journal entries that evolved into a memoir. I'm documenting everything, the fraud, motivations, consequences. I'm thinking about publishing it eventually to help others who might head down the same path." "Tom, that's excellent. If your story can prevent even one person from making your mistakes, it's worth sharing. You don't think it's self-serving?" "Not if you're honest and use it to help others. That's redemption. Taking your worst moments and transforming them into something that prevents suffering." As winter deepened, I reflected on how far we'd all come. Tom was genuinely changing. Aster had rebuilt her life. The scholarship recipients were thriving. And me? I'd discovered my identity wasn't tied to being Tom's father. I was my own person with my own values and capacity to create positive change. Rachel and I had dinner in January. 2 years since that breakfast confrontation. "You look happy," she observed. "I am. Surprisingly so." "Not so surprising. You've built a good life. Sometimes our imagined lives are too small. Reality forces us to grow into something bigger." "You're right. If none of this had happened, I'd still be stuck with Tom and Aster, all of us resenting each other but too comfortable to change. This forced change. Painful, yes, but necessary." In February, Tom was transferred to minimum security, a reward for good behavior. The new facility focused on rehabilitation. "This place is different," he told me excitedly. "They actually want us to succeed when we get out. Job training, business connections, re-entry planning." "That's wonderful. I'm certified in bookkeeping now, learning web design, working on a business plan for my consulting business. I'm proud of you. That means everything. I spent years thinking I disappointed you. Now I'm doing things worth being proud of." The Scholarship Foundation continued expanding. Marcus Chen's donation inspired others. We were funding 30 scholarships annually, with a mentorship program pairing recipients with successful entrepreneurs. In March, I received a letter from Jerome, the inmate Tom had mentored. He'd been released and wanted to update me. "Mr. Solmer, your son saved my life. He taught me how to manage money, plan for the future, think beyond today. I have a job now, an apartment, A savings account. Your son did that. I thought you should know the good he's doing. I shared the letter with Tom. Jerome's doing great, Tom said proudly. He sends updates. He's saving 15% of every paycheck. That's more than most people manage. You gave him tools for success. I gave him what you tried to give me for years. I wish I'd listened sooner. The timing wasn't right then. It is now. In April, on the second anniversary of trial's conclusion, I visited Tom in person for the first time since conviction. The minimum security facility allowed relaxed visits. We sat across from each other at a simple table. Tom looked healthier than I'd seen in years, clear-eyed, calm, at peace. Dad, thanks for coming. Of course, tell me about your plans for release. Tom's face brightened. I've been developing a curriculum for financial literacy education focused on people re-entering society after incarceration. I also want to create a network of businesses willing to hire people with criminal records. The biggest barrier to successful re-entry is employment. You've given this serious thought. I have 4 more years to refine it. By release, I want to hit the ground running. We talked for 2 hours. Conversation flowing naturally between planning and lighter moments, laughter mixing with reflection. When visiting hours ended, Tom hugged me, a real embrace. Thank you for not giving up on me, he said. Thank you for becoming someone worth not giving up on. The final years of Tom's sentence passed with steady progress. The Scholarship Foundation expanded to 50 annual scholarships. Several recipients created their own programs, multiplying impact. Tom's memoir was published through a prison literacy program, entitled How Privilege Destroyed My Family and Prison Saved My Life. Every cent of royalties went to restitution. The book received significant attention for its brutal honesty. I read it in one sitting. Painful seeing our dysfunction laid bare, but Tom's honesty was remarkable. He described motivations and rationalizations without excuse. The chapter about Mr. Henderson was especially moving. Tom wrote about receiving news of his passing, about the weight of knowing his choices contributed to someone's suffering. He dedicated the book to Mr. Henderson and all the victims I hurt. Tom's parole hearing came in his 5th year. Rachel and I attended in person. The board chair studied Tom's extensive file. You've made remarkable progress. But if released early and facing financial pressures, how can we trust you won't return to criminal behavior? Tom answered without hesitation. You can't, not with certainty. But I can tell you this. I've spent 5 years examining why I committed fraud. It wasn't financial pressure. I had options. It was entitlement. I believed I deserved success without earning it. I've spent 5 years dismantling that belief, replacing it with understanding that real success comes from serving others. Will I face pressures when released? Absolutely. But I'll face them as someone who's learned that taking shortcuts destroys everything worth having. You've arranged employment? Yes. A business ethics consulting firm agreed to hire me. I'll work with companies to identify fraud risks. I'll also continue financial literacy education for people re-entering society. The board deliberated, then returned. Based on your exceptional rehabilitation progress, completion of all programs, and concrete re-entry plans, we're granting early release. You'll serve the remainder of your sentence on supervised parole with strict conditions. Tom's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. I won't let you down. Release day came on a bright morning in late spring. I picked Tom up at the prison gates. He looked different, older but also lighter somehow. The weight of entitlement and resentment had lifted. We drove to my house in silence, just being together. When we arrived, Tom stood on the porch looking out at the oak trees. This is beautiful, Dad. Thank you for never giving up on me. Thank you for doing the work to become better. Tom started his consulting business the following week. His first clients were small businesses wanting to implement fraud prevention. His reputation for brutal honesty about his past made him credible. He also launched his financial literacy program, teaching classes at community centers and halfway houses. The people he helped began succeeding, getting jobs, staying out of trouble. 6 months after release, Tom stood before the Scholarship Award ceremony as a guest speaker. 6 years ago, I stood in a courtroom convicted of fraud, he told the recipients. I'd stolen from my own father and destroyed multiple lives. I thought success meant taking what I wanted. Prison taught me that real success means giving what you can. Mr. Solmer's scholarship program represents that philosophy. He took his worst experience and transformed it into opportunity for others. That's the example I'm trying to follow now. The audience applauded. I sat in the back, watching my son speak with honesty and purpose, feeling pride mixed with relief. Later that evening, Tom and I sat on my porch watching the sunset. Dad, I need to say something. What is it? Thank you for pressing charges. Thank you for not protecting me from consequences. I know it wasn't easy, but it saved my life. If you'd bailed me out, I'd still be that entitled person destroying everything I touched. You loved me enough to let me face what I'd done. That took more courage than I understood at the time. I put my hand on his shoulder. You did the hard part, Tom. You faced it, learned from it, and became better. That's all any parent hopes for, that their child learns and grows. We sat in comfortable silence as darkness fell. The oak trees rustled in the evening breeze. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked, normal sounds of a peaceful evening. Inside the house, my phone buzzed with a message from Maria. Her app had just reached 50,000 users. Another scholarship recipient had landed a major contract. The positive ripples continued expanding. Tom checked his own phone. Jerome just texted. He's been promoted at work. Says he's saving for a house now. That's wonderful. He said I changed his life. But really, Dad, you changed mine. Everything good that's happening now, Jerome's success, my business, the people I'm helping, it all traces back to you demanding accountability when I needed it most. I looked at my son, really looked at him. Not the entitled young man who'd humiliated me at breakfast 6 years ago. Not the convict who'd spent 5 years in prison. But the person he'd become through struggle and choice and determination. Tom, we both changed. We both learned. That's what matters. The night deepened around us. Stars emerged one by one in the darkening sky. My back felt strong, free from the old pain. The house I'd built stood solid and welcoming behind us. In the distance, lights from other homes glowed warmly, lives being lived, families being families, the world continuing its eternal rhythm. Tom stood and stretched. I should head home. Early client meeting tomorrow. Drive safe. I will. Same time next week? Same time. He walked to his car, turned once to wave, then drove away into the night. I watched his taillights disappear, then turned back to look at my house, the sanctuary I'd built, the life I'd reclaimed, the future I'd created from ruins. The story could have ended differently, with bitterness and permanent estrangement, with Tom learning nothing and repeating his mistakes, with me becoming cynical and closed off. Instead, it ended here, with accountability leading to growth, with consequences creating change, with a father and son who'd traveled through betrayal and back to find something resembling redemption. I walked inside, closing the door behind me, feeling the solid weight of the brass handle under my palm. The same handle I'd touched the morning I walked out with a grocery bag, uncertain what came next. Now I knew. What came next was this: a life built on truth instead of obligation, on respect instead of entitlement, on earned success instead of stolen shortcuts. The house was quiet and warm, my house, my achievement, my peace. And somewhere across town, my son was building his own version of the same thing, one honest choice at a time. That was enough. That was everything.